Okay, today I'm making pastry. A lot of people say they have difficulty with it. You shouldn't if you have a food processor. And a kitchen scale, all should be well. In my food processor, I have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of salt. I am now adding a stick and a half of unsalted butter, because that happens to be what I use. If you use salted butter, you might need a little bit more or a little bit less salt in your mix. We say to put frozen butter. This butter is very recently frozen, but it doesn't have to be solidly frozen. And I'm just cutting it up so that it more easily mixes in with the flour. If you want to, you can add a teaspoon of sugar to your pastry. I don't tend to. So this is a stick and a half of butter, and I want a half stick, which is basically 58 grams of lard. So 2 sticks of butter makes for a very nice pastry, but it tends to be a bit of a harder pastry because of the butter. To soften it up a bit and make it just a little more, I think, better, I have 1/4 of that combination tender flake lard. So now all you do is hoof it up until it's a crumbly mess. They say peas, don't worry about a thing. And now I'm going to add some ice water. They say 1/4 cup, but you just have to go by feel, because it might depend on the dryness of your flour and other things. So I'm just adding a little bit of water, rather more than you'd think sometimes. And when it just starts to come together, and I'll show you that, but not too much. You're done. Sometimes you look at a recipe and it tells you to, it gives you the recipe for the pie crust, and that's because it thinks you don't know what you're doing. And then you think, oh, I need to make that pie crust for this recipe. No, you find a pie crust that works for you, and you'll be friends for life. You see it's starting to crumble up in here. Let me bring you a little bit closer. I'm very good at this. And what you have is this. It is now perfect, and it's still cold. Notice that you hardly ever touch this stuff. Now I have 2 rounds of pastry ready for the freezer. And I always have a couple of rounds in there, so if I want to make a pie, I just put it in the fridge for a few hours to get it to warm enough to roll. And I have it handy. People would probably never make a pie. You do this sort of thing when you have a day with nothing much else to do. So here's our nice crumbly mixture. Pardon me. plastic users, haters, look away, because I'm just going to dump all of this into the ubiquitous, hated plastic bag. We're trying to get away from those. We will. I haven't figured out what's a perfect solution for the pastry storage yet. So that's that. Now you say, how do I know that I have 2 rounds? Well, this is again where your kitchen scale comes in handy. Because you just poof it together. Don't worry about this because we're going to take it apart. Just enough to get it on the kitchen scale. And I have 737 grams of pastry. I take another kitchen plastic bag, sorry. And I'm going to divide this chunk into half. Halvesies. It's all very crumbly and messy at this point, but it's inside the bag, so that's all okay. You try to touch the pastry as little as possible because you want to keep it cold. Enough here. Some people are obsessive about getting these exactly the right size. I happen to be one of those people. So once you have this done, $370. No one will ever know. Once you have those done, get this out of the way. You just take these things and you squish them into a disc. Maintenant, comme ça. Nice flat round disc, and this just sits in your freezer. You can see the little bits of butter in there, I think. That's great, because that's what makes the flakiness of the pastry. This pastry is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. So, now, what's to do with your food processor? Well, you can make some pasta dough or whatever. Very serious plastic bags. So, later, maybe if I can stitch these videos together, we will roll one out, because the rolling is easy peasy. To the freezer with me? No, that wasn't so hard, was it? Hello. This is part 2 of the pastry pie pastry video event. Remember that I had 2 of these rounds. I started to roll it out a little bit. I have flour on my counter. One of the main secrets is to keep this pastry dough cool, so it's just out of the fridge. I'm using a French rolling pin. I like it, but any rolling pin works just great. If you don't have a rolling pin, a wine bottle works fine. You'll notice that it starts to break a little bit around the sides. Don't get hysterical, everything's going to be fine. And I'm just sort of rolling it and making sure that it's not stuck to the underside. And you don't have to worry about getting too much flour in there because it just won't accept it. So I'm making a galette. I'm not making a full 2-crust pie because I never have enough people to eat that much pie. Today I'm making an apple galette. Some galettes are savory. One of my popular ones is a, what I call it, Edie tart with leeks and cherry tomatoes and blue cheese and pine nuts. It's very delicious. You can do an awful lot of things, just Google around. This happens to be a sweet one today because I'm going out and I'm bringing an apple galette with me. So what I'm aiming for, and notice that this isn't all that delicate, what I'm aiming for is a, it's not tough either, by the way. Like you wouldn't want to swing it that way too much. Is the outer parts being somewhat thinner than the center. If you run into any breaks, just squish them together with your fingers. This is sort of like pasta dough, or really like anything tricky in cooking that you don't want to allow the dough to sense any fear. It's a little bit like, I suppose, riding horses or frightening children. So a little bit narrower, thinner on the outside, because that part is going to be folded over, and you don't want to get to be too pastry-esque. So this is looking pretty good. At this point, I'm going to get some parchment paper. This might be noisy. And I'm going to roll it onto the parchment paper. Oops, tore a little bit there. Don't worry about a thing. Everything's going to be all right. And I roll it on like that. Now, in my little dishes here, I have some towel thing. But you see the edges, it doesn't really matter because these are all going to be folded over. And we want this to look a little bit rustic. So there we are, ready to go. We don't want this to stick. If for any reason you are having to leave this to go attend to some necessity, you can just slide it right into your fridge and keep it cool for, hours if you want to. Okay, I'm just putting a little bit of flour around the edges because I'm going to fold those up and I don't want them to get stuck together. I have an open window here keeping everything cool because it's Canada and it's December. So I have a bunch of apples. Sometimes I slice them thin and leave the skins on. That really doesn't matter. All very good for you. And in this case, I scun them because I'm taking it out to people. And there they are. This is an apple caramel. What I did was just put some canned butterscotch sauce on it. A little left, might as well put a little more there, what the heck. Goodness only knows what's going to happen, but nothing bad will happen. And I like to add, we're calling it salted caramel. I might add a little bit of molten salt on the top to give you that idea. Now, if just the rolling out was what you were interested in, you've pretty much got that and you can go off and live your life. If you'd like to see it finished, I'm going to finish it now because of course I have to. This is a combination of Bisquick, panko breadcrumbs, maple sugar, like whatever you can. This is just so that it doesn't get too burning on top. Not that it will. I'm also including some slivered almonds, sliced almonds, because it adds a little bit of crunch. And there we are. Now this next part doesn't matter. But if you want to be very artsy, go full Margie on us. It might take a little bit of practice, but for the most part, you're just folding the edges up. The nice thing about apple pie is that if everybody's on a diet and nobody can possibly, oh no, I couldn't, dare I eat a peach, it's perfectly lovely for breakfast the next day. So now just roll these around. And so all this appley stuff will stay in there just fine. You're actually going to put this into the oven. You can put it right onto a cookie sheet if you want to. I tend to take my pizza peel and slide it right into the oven and put it on my pizza stone, my pizza steel. But you can do whatever you want to. Certainly, most people do a cookie sheet. So now I've mixed up some egg, and this makes it look very, very pretty. And so I'm just going around the edges and getting egg on the pastry. If you don't happen to have an egg, milk works just fine. If you have some whipped cream, that works great too. And there it is. I'm putting it in the oven at 425. Of course, I have the oven heating. And it will stay in there the better part of an hour, but be careful with it. It depends on your oven. My darling stepdaughter's forever after people to calibrate their ovens, but nobody ever listens to her. Okay. So we have that. I want a little more butter on the top. So I happen to have a ribbon butter dispenser thingy. You probably don't unless you're insane. And this will just melt down into the apples and make it even richer and more yummy. Some people add a little sugar over the top if they want to, but now if your oven isn't hot enough, as mine isn't, or if you would like to take it to this level and then just drift off and get dressed and put on your jewels or whatever it is you do, and put the pie in a little later so that it's nice and hot when people roll in or when you take it out to your social event. Just put it in the fridge right now and it's fine. What I do is take this gorgeous pizza peel that my friend Trevor made for me. He also makes boat oars and stuff like that. And I'm ready to slide it right onto the pizza stone. I will include a picture of the finished product. I know it's going to look delicious, it's going to taste delicious, and I really, really hope you try it. Trisha, come on. Okay, thanks for tuning in again. Oh, there's the oven.